Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Yes, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Again, it is, what is it? It's March 7th. It's March 7th. It's another Thursday. Again, we're traveling at a nice pace through time so that we can enjoy each week together. Thank you guys for coming. I see Grace Grella out there. I see Ninja Kitty out there. I thought I saw Tim floating around somewhere, but I don't see his comment. But what's up, everybody? Live stream of consciousness. And it certainly is. It has been an extremely interesting year. As you guys know, we have slowed down time, even though it seems like, oh my God, it's Thursday again. It's been a week of accountability. I've been able to account for everything that's going on this week. It doesn't seem like just a blur. Life is not just happening, making things happen. And that's cool. So it's good to see you. Oh, and I see Hat Pauser out there. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. And Grace, always welcome for watching on both platforms. Awesome, fun. All right, so let me just rearrange my screen here a little bit. So I started to say, and then I got caught in my own babbling, that it's been an interesting year. And what I mean by that is that I have some really interesting guests scheduled. I'm excited for conversations, and then life happens. It gets in the way. We've had Mick Thomas scheduled a couple of times, who had to reschedule and then was going to be late and ended up, not showing up because he didn't make it home in time. So we were going to reschedule with him. And tonight's guest, Felicity Feline, also was originally scheduled to come on, and was in the middle of recording an album and kind of forgot she had something going on. And so we rescheduled for tonight, and then also got caught up kind of with something that she thought she'd be home from, but is not. So life gets in the way. I don't get angry really at things like that. I try to stay positive. Oh, we had the positive pineapple also didn't show up. That guy, I forgot about him, Anthony. He's going to be back too. His wife reached out to me, and she's in charge of his schedule, and she got sick, and so she apologized. And listen, life happens, like I said, but we're all here. I'm here, you're here. I have some cool news. We are still on a quest to find the ultimate answer to life, the universe, and everything, but I guess we're taking a break from talking to somebody new tonight about it and getting a new perspective. So I decided to bring back an old friend of the show who happens to be around and is able to join us tonight. So a surprise guest. Welcome back to the live stream of consciousness, Jesse Blaze Snyder. What's up, Jesse Blaze?
Hello.
I caught you in the middle of eating. Sorry, I didn't realize you were.
I apologize. I was finishing some gushers, some sweetness for my brain.
Oh, you and your candy. You love that stuff.
How's it going, Michael?
It's going good, man. How are you doing? It's good to see you. Ninja Kitty saying, "What's up, everybody?"
Hello, everybody.
At Pauser. No, I still have not solved it's not. I don't think I'm looking to solve anything, but I am on a quest. I'm just on a quest to learn as much as I can and connect as much as I can to all the people who are out there picking gushers out of their teeth. So Jesse Blaze, welcome back to the live stream of consciousness. It's been a while since you've been here, and I'm so glad you were able to come back and catch up with us. You have been in California for the last over a year. I think time went so quickly last year. I remember every week I was like, oh my God, it's another year, another week. So why don't you catch us up? What's been going on? I know your band is starting to do things. I know a couple of things, but why don't you catch up our live stream audience?
Well, my sort of week to week life now is podcasting. I have a podcast I do twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays called The Cool's Geek Alive, and it's basically professional comic book writer and entertainment person's perspective on so many of the decisions and things going on in mainstream stuff. And I do like not really like, I mean, it kind of sometimes occasionally I like review things, but not like traditional kind of reviews, but overviews, and I'll do like whole rants about things that I love. Like I just did an episode on Star Trek, and I did an episode on Monty Python, and I did an episode on Jim Henson and the Muppets and the Creature Shop.
Nice.
So it's just like an all-purpose geek culture podcast, and I do that every Wednesday and Saturday. You can find it wherever podcasts are held, if you like geek culture shit. And then I just started it just 2 months ago, a music podcast called All Your Favorite Bands Suck. And actually, my next episode is going to be on my dad, episode number 15. It's his birthday on March 15th. So I figured I was saving him for it was funny. It was very spiritual. I was saving him for the 15th episode because his birthday is March 15th. And then all of a sudden I realized as I was getting to the 15th episode that it was March. And then I went, wouldn't it be wild? And of course it lands, the 15th episode lands on the week of the 15th.
That's awesome. Oh,
yes.
Awesome. Very cool. So All Your Favorite Bands Suck. Yes. I was honored to work on this logo with you.
Yeah. Thanks for helping me out, Michael. Yeah. Michael worked on the logo for that.
Yeah, no, I love the idea. So All Your Favorite Bands Suck. Tell us what that's about.
It's basically just me gushing about all of my favorite bands. But more from a perspective of, I just find that the mainstream only like accepts and deifies so many artists, and if you look at like the top 100 bands of all time lists, it's all the same people, Johnny Cash and Frank Sinatra and the Velvet Underground, like, whatever these like nose up in their air, critics think it is. But meanwhile, genres like punk rock and metal and comedy music and rap music, they don't get as much respect. The stuff that's the closest stuff to the pop music that, it gets all treated kind of the same. But everything that's outside of that doesn't get weighed as heavily, So basically my show is just like putting a highlight on all the greatest bands from all of those underappreciated genres, that don't get enough attention from the mainstream. So I've been doing that. And then a few years ago, I tried to do an Indiegogo for a comic book that I had called King of Kings. And that wasn't, I got shadow banned on Indiegogo. So I wasn't able to I should say I canceled it halfway through because I was struggling and I could only get people who I sent links to directly to find the webpage. Nobody else could find it. So it was very frustrating, and I canceled the thing. But I found out that I was shadow banned, and that was why I was having problems. And I switched over to a new platform. I did it on Kickstarter a few months ago. So we were trying to raise $5,000, and we raised, I think, $6,000 and something, dollars.
Nice. Yeah.
And so we just did our first print run of the book, and I've got like all the books in my hand, and we're just been sending out books as we speak. I think half.
I've got one in my hand. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about this later. We'll open it up. Yeah.
And then at the same time, me and my buddy Steve. Well, sorry, I have to use code names here. Me and my buddy Dizzy Arnold. We put together an amazing comedy mature readers book that uses nudity just as a tool to tell the story, because like nudity stuff was selling like online, and I was like, well, maybe I could take this and do something really interesting with it. And we did. I'm so proud of it. It's like nothing I've ever read before. It's fucking hilarious, I think. It's called Fucking for Our Future. And we're about to, once I fulfill all the Kickstarter orders for King of Kings, we're about to launch that on Kickstarter like next month. Or something like that. So I'm really excited about that. And then on the music front, there's a lot going on. I've been going out with this girl, Julie Brightingham, for a long time now, and she has helped me to get all these music videos going. Really, she just kind of inspired me to do it, and we kind of started doing it together. And we've been making all of these great videos
Mhm.
for DILF USA. And now, the people are coming to us asking us to make videos for them, and
Oh,
whatever
that's
else.
cool.
Yeah, so Julie's like lining up all these gigs for herself and all of our people who work with us and whatnot, and it's really great. And more than that too, we just see like kind of it's like once you get it going and you start figuring out, like it's easier than you think it is. It's like, yeah, we can figure this out. So
Yeah.
so we just like are kind of getting like a nice assembly line going, and I think there's going to probably be some videos for my some of the Jesse Blaze solo stuff that's like come out, like things that haven't been promoted at all, which will be really cool. And there's a ton of DILF USA videos. We've got the Money Ain't Funny video, which just came out the other day. It's a lampoon of the strikes that happened for the Writers Guild of America,
Yeah.
and it's really funny. Julie, this one, she directed and edited and shot it herself. She co-wrote it with me, the video, the script for the video, and
Yeah.
when we produced it together, and it's really, I'm so proud of us. Like people just genuinely seem to love our stuff, and and the more we do it, the more sure of that I am, and
Oh,
the more sure of that I am, the more I'm like, all right, cool, like it's worth putting in.
yeah.
People are enjoying it. So we've done 3 videos so far for DILF that have come out, but there's a 4th video for a cover song to. There's a band called Two Live Crew who did this really R-rated, a very sexist song called "We Want Some Pussy," but it's a big hit from the '80s, and it goes really well to this AC/DC track TNT. Like they really match up very well. And we were doing a cover in the clubs as a celebration of sex, and people loved it. So we did. We recorded it, and we made this really funny music video where I'm an old man and I'm trying to.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to release that.
It's so great, and
Yeah.
again, another production of all of us, whatever. But we have a lot of different people on our team at this point, but it just
Yeah.
everybody came together to make something that's fucking awesome. And I can't wait to see some of these other things. I was in California just last week, and we shot the video for a new song that's coming out maybe like 6 months from now called "We Gave an Alligator Mushrooms."
Yeah.
And that one is I think going to actually really get around. And we have a whole album of cover tunes, like parody cover tunes from a male point of view, called "Toxic Femininity," where we're doing covers of songs like "Before He Cheats," but it's "Before I Cheat,"
Right.
sung by a man, and a little bit more rocking.
Right. Right. Yep. Yep.
So,
Awesome.
so we like just have a ton of really fun things going on, and I'm stoked. I'm just so stoked to get these comics to people and to launch,
Yes.
for our future, and just to get out more of these videos. And the biggest thing is though to play. Like we're starting to play, and the biggest thing for DILF USA is that Steel Panther's singer is a big fan of our band, and
That's awesome.
they're currently working on a show where we're gonna get to go open up for Steel Panther. And
Wow.
it's a great opportunity for us is like, we've barely been able to play. I mean, I think we've done like a half a dozen shows, and like, but it's still been growing and like building an audience and stuff. It's really insane. I mean,
What a perfect lineup, man. That's an amazing opportunity, I think, for you guys.
it's great. So I'm like,
That's amazing. Wow. So for anyone who doesn't know, oh, look who showed up. Kenzie Wardrobe is out there. What's up, Kenzie? Good to see you again. And Angela's saying she feels old. She had that album, Two Life Crew album that you were talking about.
oh yeah, we want some pussy.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a huge fan of Jesse Blaze, and that's how his original. I started working with him on his original show, and this show came out of that. And just one of the most talented singers and performers that I know. A true rock and roll legacy, like beyond even. And I love having you as my friend as well, because I get to work with you on some of these things, and you and Julie, again, you do such a great job. These videos are really, they have such a authentic like feel to them, like the
Personality, I feel like.
yeah, they have such a personality. The Christmas video, oh my God, just had so much personality to it. The characters were brilliant. I know your sister Cheyenne came up with that lead character, the death metal singer in the Christmas sweater, which is just such a memorable.
Oh yeah, that was her that was her contribution. You know, she just said, "Do what do you call it? The
I think it's death metal. No, is it like
they call it something. What do they call it? Something
King Diamond, like King
do,
Diamond?
do
And
death paint or do dead make. I forget what they call it. But yeah, she told us to do the death metal makeup, and that was just like the simple solution to our problems there. Just like as like the simple thing of the video. And
yeah,
it's, you know, me and Julie are really awesome together writing comedy because she has this like real like naive innocence where like there's no such thing as a bad idea.
right,
And so like all sorts of things that like will just never come out of my face because I'm like overthinking things and I'm like being a little too scrutinizing and I'm trying to like see it from like this crazy architecture that I've put together in my mind so that I can squeeze out meaning and all this stuff from it. You know, but she comes from just this like real innocent id place, and it's
right,
wonderful for me because like she just always is injecting, you know, often kind of simple, but like, oh yeah, that's exactly. I would have tried to freaking mucky that up, you know.
yeah.
Exactly right. You know, that is genuinely funny. You know, because
Yeah.
really it's smaller is better. It's very quick point in time where like we go from like approaching what is like the right answer and then passing it, overthinking it, and we never go back to that point.
Right.
It's such a blessing to have anybody in your life who's like allows themselves to be innocent enough that they might like say something stupid, you know, or you know,
Right. Totally.
in some way, you know, that's
Totally.
like a great gift to you.
Yeah. You guys remind me of I think I mentioned this to you when we were talking about it. Tom McDonald and his girlfriend. Tom McDonald is like
That same thing.
number one like independent artist. He just distributes his own stuff. Everything is all independent, and he's huge. And I mean his content is very controversial. Yours is more playful. You know what I mean? But I'd love to play that new video. Can we play that new video?
Please, I much respect.
Awesome. So this is the latest release that you have. There is, like we said, the Christmas song. Maybe we'll play that one also because that one's so much fun. The shit the bed video. And is there a third video out yet, or no? I'm just thinking of the one.
Third video is the one you're about to play, Money.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the third video, and the fourth one I had seen some sneak peeks of, and it's so much freaking fun. I can't wait till that one comes out. So I guess let me bring this up on the screen, guys. Nova Rockefeller, right? That's Tom McDonald's girlfriend, and she is also now doing her thing, and she's an artist, and you know, great things. It's just such great teamwork and authentic, like just lifting each other up. That's just so amazing. And Angela says she is the macaroni to your cheese, my friend. And she said smaller is better. That's not what she said. But it is true. These videos are great. So I'm going to put this on screen. I'm going to pull us off for a second, and hope you guys enjoy.
Okay, we're thinking 99 days. Just under 100, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. It's over, right?
No. We need at least 100 days if we want our force majeure clauses to hold up in court.
Okay, well, we'll scratch your back if you scratch ours.
Whatever it takes.
We're willing to go 148 days. All right. Well, what are we going to do for the next 147 days?
Money ain't funny when it's used this way. It should be 50-50, but you hear them say 60-40, my friend, maybe 90-10. But money always gets you in the end. Don't you save your money, sonny, let that money ride. Money's meant to be spent till that well runs dry. Well, I know you think it's funny, and I'm just moving my lips like a dime. sweat. If it's profit you wish to net, true to your heart straight from the start, you'll never get spent. Persistent, honest honesty, communicate judiciously, open books, transparency, it's waiting for someone to lead. Even splits and even hurts, we're tricky language, legal tricks, just trolling on our liberty, in life, in love, and in money. Yeah, money ain't funny when it's used this way. It should be 50-50, but you hear them say 60-40, my friend, maybe 90-10. The money always gets you in the end. Well, I know you think it's funny, and I'm just moving my lips like a dummy. My theatrics ain't becoming, but we'll be running with all the money. Yeah, we'll be running with all the money. They will betray you, so you will betray me. It's not your fault, you're just a cog in their machine that don't even know what betray means. Well, we know you think it's funny, and we're just moving our lips like a dummy. Our theatrics ain't becoming, but we'll be running with all the money. And we know that you're disinterested, only invest your time conservative. But if we don't find an alternative, we'll soon be running with all the money. Yeah, we'll be running with all the money. Soon we'll be running with all your money.
What can I say? It went back and forth for a while. It was intense. But I think our members are going to be really happy with the deal that we struck to them.
Money ain't funny when it's used this way. It should be 50-50.
Very, very cool.
My turn, dolls.
Maybe 90-10. The money always gets you in the end.
It always gets it in the end. Beautiful, man. Awesome. I love it. It's got such a old school feel to it. Like, you know, we've talked about it before, but that is Dilf, my friends. But their music, I think the Dilf music is not all like you don't stick to one specific genre. I think you guys
even Alligator Mushrooms is kind of like a reggae song.
Mhm.
I mean, it all runs a range. It's just sort of like in the pop, rock, hard rock, alternative rock, punk rock kind of vein.
Yeah. It's you know, I mean, again, we could just do an episode all on you and your music career and the different styles. You know, I love the stuff that you've been playing for me, and you know, I mean, like I said, I'm a fan. Angela says, I believe I have all the songs that are out there already. Probably not a couple of the ones we were listening to last night. You played me a couple of really obscure tracks last night, so that was kind of cool. I want to play some more Dilf, but let's talk spirituality a little bit. And I think you were talking about coming up with an idea to talk about, and it just so happens, like you were talking about a little bit earlier, King of Kings, you had this Kickstarter, you had this experience with it where you kind of released it, but then you pulled it back, and then you re-released it now, and you finally, it's out there, you're sending it to the people. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it is. So I have my copy right here, hand delivered to me from you.
Well, ultimately, it comes from the perspective, for me anyway, I co-wrote it with my friend Mark Polton, but for me, it comes from my perspective growing up as an atheist, who felt like religion was the root of all evil, and that all of these warring, dogmatic tribes who are like, you know, you must be saved by Christ, you must be saved by Allah, you must be saved by the trees. Like, I was like, man, if these guys would just like get on the same page about things, we can move this world forward.
Right.
So for a long time, I just always was very fixated on how imbalanced and guarded everybody seemed about their religions. Just, they didn't have a sense of humor about their religions. There was very little humor about religion in the world. When I remember when I saw Monty Python's Life of Brian, I was like, oh my God, like that was like life changing to me. That like religion was being talked about and joked about, and like, wow, I wanted to make that safe. Like I felt like it's not safe and it should be fucking safe, and the world would be a better place if it was safe to make jokes about this.
Right.
And not only do I want to make it safe, I want to level the playing field for all of these people, because to the Jesus fans in the audience, so often it seems like Jesus is the only thing that exists. And and if you're in the middle of the Middle East, you may think that Allah is the only thing that exists. And if you're in the middle of India and an ashram or shrine, you might feel that the Buddha is the only thing that exists. But other things exist, and forcing them into everybody's face through an interesting mechanism of like having a battle of the bands to determine the reigning religious ideology on earth, to crown the King of Kings, which is, of course, the title that Jesus has. And the story goes, because that's Jesus's title, it's his title because he's won every year. But not this year, baby. Because Norse records, Odin and the Gods of Rock, which is Odin and Thor and Loki, they're coming back to the tournament after 1,300 years away. In the very first tournament, they lost the final round against Jesus and the apostles, when God shows up and basically takes Odin's eye and double crosses him, kind of thing. There's like this clause in the thing that God's one of Jesus's backup singers. So like whenever Jesus is in trouble, God just comes down and like whoops some ass, and it's over.
I want to show some more of the artwork while you're telling.
Yeah, art by David Witt and colors by Andrew Donalhouse. Brilliant people. I mean, everybody working on this book is brilliant. The letters by DC Hopkins. So yeah, the ultimate thing, like my friend Mark Polton, he came to me and he said, "Hey Jesse, I've got this idea for a book called Odin and the Gods of Rock, about the Norse gods as a rock band and like behind the music." He's like, "But I don't really know anything about music. I was wondering if you maybe would want to write it with me." So I thought about it for a second and I said, "Can we make Jesus the bad guy?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "All right, I'm in." So after we had that basic premise, and I started, we started thinking about it more, and we got into, because we both had like a love of wrestling, professional wrestling. So it became this musical tournament where you don't get to play any music unless you kick somebody's ass. So, God on God action, and then whoever's left standing gets to play a song. And we did 16 bands, so 16 different religions. And it's just incredible. I mean, like for me, like my mind has already been healed, the way other people's minds need to be healed in terms of like equalizing all these religions. It's like when you've got Vishnu and Muhammad and Jesus and Lucifer and the Mormons and Scientology and just so many different groups of gods, and the earth religions and African gods, and I mean, there's so many different bands in the Battle of the Bands, and they're all great in their own way, and they're all really well thought out. We really held ourselves accountable for like this universe and like making this into something, and making it into something that wasn't like up its ass. Like essentially everybody's taking the piss. Everybody's getting made fun of in some way to some degree. But generally speaking, we're trying to go with the flow of what the audience, of what we feel like culture is already like. That's how we know them. This is what we think when we think of Jesus. It's like, of course Jesus is the petulant son of God who gets everything his way and is the king of kings. Of course he is, because like that's how asshole Jesus freaks are to you. And that's the overall energy that ends up coming across from this thing of like, this guy's kind of got it in the bag. It's a little unfair at this point, isn't it? You know, as you went across the world, crusading and blundering and plundering, you're like, I mean, things Jesus never would have did. And it's not Jesus, and it's not Lucifer, and it's, you know, none of these characters are the characters. You know, they're just avatars of sort of, you know, some of the worst and better and more interesting aspects of the various gods that are on display. And the main story and the main point of it all is revenge on Catholicism for the Northern Crusades. And the Northern Crusades were really horrific. It's something that Jesus never would have done in a million years. And you know, it was such a devastating thing to hear about all the things that were done in Jesus's name. And I always felt like, you know, like those Viking gods, like, man, like if anybody would want revenge, like, you know, like those guys would be the ones crying out, fucking Jesus, you know, like, you know, so just the idea of like, I wanted it to be okay for somebody to go, fuck Jesus. And like, for it to be like on equal playing ground, you know, where it wasn't like he's above me and like, no, they're equals. This is Odin and that's Jesus, and fuck Jesus. He doesn't like Jesus because we're the same. You know,
right.
You know, every fan or anybody below that would, but it's like these guys are gods. They're all the gods, and they're all equal, and they all have their own constituencies and people who are out there, whatever, and have their own righteous anger against the various other people. You know, like of course, if you were Odin, you would be pissed at Jesus. Well, I mean, you know, granted, like if you could go back and forth, Odin would be like, oh, it wasn't really Jesus' fault. It was a bunch of Jesus' followers, and they weren't really cool. You know. But applying that down into a metaphor, it becomes just this little battle of bands where these guys are representative of all these world religions. And one more layer beyond that is just that all of them are sort of every religion is representative of a different genre of music, and have according you know, sort of artists under their label, and each, you know, sort of have a little bit of like a history to some degree based on some of the history of their own religion.
Right. Yes,
so it's been really well, tediously constructed. I mean, we worked on it for like 5 years.
Yeah, I was looking for the centerpiece, but I guess the different versions have a different actually different material in them, which is a reason to collect them all. But this is one of the double spreads that this one has, which is God helping out there, I guess. But there's another spread that I was looking for as you were talking about all the different bands that shows like the whole crowd, everybody in the whole book. But it's almost like I'm guessing I can actually see more versions of this book. I can see a book just dedicated to each band, right? Like the history of each band that's in there. Yeah. Like you could make this a whole series.
I mean, like theoretically speaking, you know, if Odin, the gods of rock, win, you know, we could do a continued series of like, well, what's the world like when the Norse religion is the prominent religion, when Odin is the king of kings, you know, and how does the title back? Where's the rematch? How's that going to go? You know?
Right. Totally cool.
There's a lot of fun things to do with it.
Hat Pauser is saying, without oppositional defiant disorder, rock and roll wouldn't exist, which is absolutely true. I saw some things come up I wanted to bring up. Angela said, I was talking about this comic with this comic book, I guess, with a very religious friend who asked me if I thought God had a sense of humor, and she said platypus. Which
we asked all of the creators of King of Kings that same question, and I think 4 of us said platypus.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess that is a sense of humor for sure.
Like half of our crew said platypus. We have an edit of it. I took down the interviews because I wasn't like utilizing them, but I'll put them up eventually when it makes sense. And we have an edit of it where you see us all saying platypus. Of course, God has a sense of humor. Are you kidding me?
And Angela apparently too.
We don't have a sense of humor. All this shit's funny.
Right. Y'all ever notice the Bible never talks about Jesus as he was a bratty teenager telling Joseph, "You are not my dad." That's pretty funny. That's totally funny. So I'm glad that King of Kings is out, and people can, get that now. I know you have a bunch of extra comics and it's still, there are still some available. So
Actually, if you follow me on my Facebook page, we have like a short list of the books, the covers that are available. It's like probably the first post that's up on the page. And if you go over there and you direct message me, you have to pay. It's like they're all signed, but it's like just a little bit more than what the people paid on Kickstarter, and like about equal to if it's a less stock, just so that it's fair to the people who put out the stuff beforehand.
of course,
We have a bunch of the covers, like but it's like I don't know, I've like 5 left of one of them, and I got like 10 left of the other one, and I got like 15 left of the other one, and I think I got like 20 or 30 left of the main one. So, but there's some options if you want to go check them out.
Very cool, very awesome. Hat Powser's out there. You were talking about Robin Williams, or she was talking about Robin Williams in the chat. That joke that Angela made about the platypus, I guess also Robin Williams had said that. But Hat says, I miss Robin. I just wanted to mention, Hat, I don't know if you've seen, there's an episode of Livestream of Consciousness. I had a guest, Roger Kabler, who is this incredible comedian who actually I met in person. He does a Robin Williams show, but he also has a movie called Being Robin, because his experience was that he was actually channeling Robin. He felt his story is really very spiritual, which is why I had him on the show. He was out one day walking around the lake. He lives by a lake, and out of his own mouth, in Robin's voice, came, I miss my kids. And you hear him tell the story, and you hear Robin say it. It's just so amazing. So yeah, Hat, the Pat in the Hat. I recommend taking a look for Being Robin and checking out Roger Kabler, since you brought up Robin. So sorry about that tangent, Jesse, but
You should be sorry, Michael.
I am. But what else can we talk about? Let's continue to catch up the audience on where you're at spiritually. I mean, you've got a lot of you're always hardworking, man. You've always got some musical project going, some artistic project going. Where can we see you next? I guess what's going on for you next?
I mean, really, it's just these videos and this comic book. I mean, and these and the podcasts every week. I mean, that's more than enough. And then I'm just like starting to book shows. So hopefully,
Keeping you busy.
Showing up in front of what's the band? I forget the one I said before. I'm not blanking.
Oh, Steel Panther. Yeah.
So
very, very cool. Yeah, no, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. So I know this was kind of this was sprung on me, and you were talking about something. We've talked about King of Kings. I feel like I know all I got to do is ask you to talk about anything, and we can be here for hours. So, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I guess let's talk about pretend.
Let's talk about pretend.
Pretend.
Okay.
The magic of spiritual information that you can find in books like The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And if you study the laws of attraction and other spiritual laws of the universe, like the stuff that I taught in my universal laws class that I know some of you guys watched, what it comes down to is that we are living in a mind, and we are creating our universe. And there's a classic story that I used to tell a lot when we used to do the Livestream of Consciousness together about the Native American man and the other man who went down to do the rain dance. And the guy went with the shaman, and the shaman stood on the ground for a second. He shut his eyes and he looked up, and just like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, something like that went by. And the shaman looked at him and he says, I'm hungry. Let's eat. And they get back in the car, and the guy's like, I thought, he's like, what's wrong? He's like, I thought that, like, we came here to do a rain dance. We came to, pray for rain. And the shaman said, no, you don't pray for rain. You pray for rain, and you get no rain. And he said, well, so what did you do? He says, I felt my feet in the dirt, and I felt the moisture, that it had just rained. I felt the rain on my face. I smelt the dew in the air. I saw the crops grown and healthy. I saw them feed my family and my friends in a great bounty. And I felt greatness and grateful in my heart. And I thanked God for what had already been given to me. To have a rain dance, the Native Americans, they are putting themselves into the future and being grateful for the outcome right now.
Celebrating the rain that's already happened.
Yeah. And it's so difficult for people to do what I want to talk about, what I'm talking about here, which is pretend, because we become adults and we don't want to pretend, and it seems like, oh, it's foolish to hope for that or think about this or whatever it is. And getting into too many details of one thing or another is a waste of your time. But general happy thoughts about a thing go a huge way. There's a great story that I just came across recently about this guy and his roommate, who's like kind of this like interesting magician character. And this guy's family moves away to like some tropical island, and like he wants to live there with them, but he doesn't want to ask and like all this stuff. And he's like, I want to live there with him. And he's like, you do live there with them already. Then live like you are there with them already. And like he basically doesn't understand. He keeps telling them like, you're there. You have to think like you're there. You have to wake up in Barbados. You have to go to bed in Barbados. You have to imagine you already are in Barbados.
Yeah.
You don't hang out in New York going, I'm not in Barbados yet. You hang out in New York going, I'm in Barbados. There's the tree outside my window. I smell the ocean air. It's so beautiful. I'm so grateful. This is amazing. That is how you create magnetic energy fields that literally pull reality into existence. Yeah. That's the secret. And it's very hard for people to fully do that, to pretend. So me too, I'm such an intellectual. I know these things are true. And for the longest time, it's been very difficult for me to get myself to that point where I could be innocent enough to just like pretend. And I see the more that I do it, the more everything just kind of lines up for me. And I feel things lining up energetically. I feel them line up inside of myself. It changes my mind about all the things. When you finally richly start imagining something wonderful and believing that it's possible and being grateful for it, all of a sudden you feel that part of you that's like, things aren't awesome, it starts to go away. Because you're like, no, things are awesome. I've imagined that they are, and I can feel it on some level that they are. They're perfect in this way. If I can imagine it like that, it can be, and it brings these things into existence. It's like, the sort of like, sometimes you need one tool that wedges the door open, and then you need another tool that's going to switch, like it's just, there's a pathway to more. So, I really believe that like the biggest lesson that I've learned for all this stuff is like, don't be afraid to pretend as innocently as you can, and think about just all the wonderful situations that you can see yourself in, and wake up in Barbados and go to sleep in Barbados, and just have it all done. You know what my happy thought was in my last meditation? What I realized, I never go on vacation because I'm a workaholic, and all I want to do, I have all these things that I want to do, and I just want to complete them. I imagined myself on a useless vacation to do nothing because I had accomplished everything and felt so accomplished that it's
wonderful.
A break from all of the accomplishments that I had done, and I was literally on a frivolous vacation doing what I never fucking do, would never allow, can't even imagine myself doing. I imagined myself in the future rewarding myself with some nothing but relaxing bullshit trip after having successfully done everything that I wanted to do and accomplish.
I love it. Anyone who that's awesome. Anyone who follows me on Facebook saw that I posted this photo like a week ago or so. And this is basically something I just manifest. I just asked AI to show me my house on the beach. And this was one of the things that generated. And so I was like, there it is.
There it is.
And it's just so true, Jesse. And you know, it's amazing. I mean, to see you come back, you know, and the last time I saw you, you were in this different place, right? And whatever it is that you're talking about right now is so true. We control our reality. You know what I mean? No matter how sucky our reality actually might be, we decide that it's sucky or not, right? And it's not. I mean, I know for me, you know, my reality changed when my perception of what my reality my reality was, my perception of what it was changed how it felt to be in it. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah,
all,
it's
you
funny.
know.
That was actually like one of the things that I was realizing in my last meditation of like that the world, uh, our future can actually be even better than we imagine.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, you know, like, oh, I got to go to an extra party that I wasn't imagining. Like,
Mhm.
we can be living with an inner warmth in our heart and our soul that never goes away. We could be living with inner strength and confidence and calm and grace that distills all of our anxieties and our conscious way of living and doing things, like, you know, down to nothing. You know, how peaceful would that be?
Right.
You know, like, and those are kind of started the consciousness states that I'm beginning to like look at. And it's, you know, I think me and you've talked about this a lot before. You know, like like I told Michael about this, a visualization that I was shown once in a very deep meditation by, you know, whatever my inner guidance was this sort of giant godlike figure who I just saw sitting on this giant, you know, kind of throne. I saw him from just kind of the side, where I could just see his arm in like on the his arm was hanging down on the side of like the armrest, and I saw his legs bent in the chair, and he's moving his hand, and his hand was moving ever so slowly, and the hand was just moving just a little bit, and as soon as it moved, all of a sudden his consciousness shifted into a life, and somewhere on a planet somewhere he had an entire life. And then when that life ended, he was back in the chair and he continued to move his arm a little bit. And then it stopped and he had an entire other life. And then it went back and went back and went back. And he was just barely moving his arm. And what they were showing me was how calm and at peace with this agonizingly slow process this God man was going through. To him, it was nothing. He was eventually going to scratch his nose or whatever the hell he was going to do.
Right.
He finally raised it up. Just, I mean, I only saw the hand move like 3 inches.
Right.
It was like, oh my God, that was like 100 lifetimes. What the fuck?
Right.
This
great.
guy's really infinitely patient, you know?
Yeah.
And these are like types of consciousnesses when, like, this is why I'm a creative person and I like to create, you know, comic books and stories and whatnot, because it's about creating an idea that can be utilized by the whole to do great things. And at the end of the day, a lot of the great ideas are great feelings. Why music is so useful, you know, if you can encapsulate a wonderful feeling that really people would like to hold in the right way, you can just give people, you know, just this gift of medicine that they can sip into at any time. But, you know, you want some infinite patience? Try channeling this giant God man who's barely moving his arm because of all these things. You know, so when I meditate now, and sometimes I'll try to channel the energy, you know, like just kind of match the energy, act out the energy of that vibe that I feel of this man who's, doesn't matter how fucking long it takes, that arm's gonna scratch it, you know. And there's a ton of different ways that you can go about that, you know, and it's the pretending thing all over again. You know, pretend to be that God who's infinitely patient. Pretend to be the man who is brave in one way that you aren't, or whatever. I mean, like,
right.
The sky's the limit.
It's so true. I think, like, you know, when we're kids, we have this extraordinary perception that hasn't been shaped by anything, you know what I mean? So there's so much more freedom to it. And then we kind of forget things, and it's just really remembering to
What were we
be
talking
in that,
about?
you know?
This we were talking about my daughter Parker.
Yeah. Oh,
You know, my Parker is next level. I mean, all of my children are like little bundles of light. But my youngest is I believe she's actually the reincarnation of my best friend Chris, who died in a car accident after dropping me off from a gig in Kentucky for my first band. He was my drummer, my best friend, and she was born with one of those like kind of red blotchy birthmarks over her third eye, and she is definitely a indigo plus child who has come in
I
with
can vouch for that for sure.
yes, and she has come in with intuitive abilities. I mean, part of the reason why she's able to come in is because her siblings are so wonderful as to create a safe enough space for her to come into the world and be her genuine self and not feel picked or pushed around by her siblings because they're all really wonderful to her. And she is wonderful. She's just like the most charming little girl you will ever meet. And I mean, granted, she has some charming parents, sure. She has some charming siblings, sure. But naturalness to this lady's charm is
you can see, you can see that her siblings treat her as if she's special and like this,
and
this.
She's so good at manipulating people, just intuitively. I was explaining to Michael, I was like, she taught me how to be sexy because she would do this thing where she would be alluring. And I couldn't figure it out. Like my little girl, like I would be like in the room and she would like look at me and start like moving around in interesting ways and making me feel like I should go pick her up. Like I should go
look at what an angel. Yeah, you just feel like, look at that angel.
Yeah, like the kitten from the cartoons where it's like making you feel bad for you.
Right.
Yeah. And so I just started going like, what is she doing? And I was like analyzing it. And she was intuitively doing this thing where she was like really enjoying her space and her skin and she was just loving herself and loving where she was at, but at the same time she was just like, hey Dad, how's it going? And you're sitting there going like, man, it looks really nice over there where she is. She seems to really like that area. I should go over to that area too. So you just like, she really just is like this crazy old soul. And I mean, the craziest thing was she was the first child who not only did they catch the first ball I ever threw at them, but they missed it initially and they put their hands down and turned their wrists over fast enough to capture the ball on their legs, which if you're a parent, turning your wrist over like this, like as a to do it.
A reaction. Yeah.
That takes a long time. Like people do that for years sometimes, like with the
totally.
Parker literally just went, I'm gonna catch the ball. Boop.
She's amazing. Can I get her on the show? I would love to have her as a guest on my show.
Yeah, you can definitely get her on.
She would be amazing. I want to just go back a little bit. I want to address Pat Hauser, a listener of the live stream, recent listener who just showed up one day. I don't remember. I probably asked her how she found the show, and I forgot. Maybe it was through Karen Garvey. I'm not sure, but I definitely want to have her on the show. But she is saying, remember what my NDE voice said. So she had a near-death experience, and it was, the asking is the receiving. Not asking ye shall receive, because that implies cause, effect, and time. It's all now. The asking is the receiving. That is so. I so resonate with that. That's just
when you add sort of just more nuance to the ways of layers to the ways of looking at things. But of course, what she's saying is like, here's the one side of the roof and there's the other side of the roof and they're leaning on each other. And what I'm saying is contained in that roof is a feeling. Mm-hmm. And the feeling is that one thing that she means. It's simultaneous because it is, and the isness of it is also filled with that loving gratitude because it's asked and it's given and it is all these simultaneous things.
Right. The isness of it. I like that.
But when you talk about it like asked and it's given, it actually sort of betrays the experience a little bit to some degree, because you know, to a large degree too, you're just part of this cosmic fishbowl. You're seeing yourself from this perspective where you're this body, but you're actually this body. You're the air in between that you're sensing on various levels. You're all the inanimate things because you're just this information of one field.
Right.
From your personal perspective, it's just Jesse until you open up, and then you start to go, well, I guess ultimately I can see on the many different levels in which it is all me. You know, it ends up being all my consciousness.
Right.
Even though I'm not experiencing that aspect of my consciousness. We need a part of consciousness to function over there, and I'm fundamentally part of the sea of all the consciousness. So
Totally. And it's so cool. It's so cool. And I've been saying this too on the live stream. When you can look around and see people who are nothing like you and see your reflection in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look who popped up.
It's very effective too to see your reflection in the bad ones. And that one is a hard one to wrap your head around sometimes. But you know, me and Michael were talking about that earlier as well. You know, when somebody triggers you, it's sending you a message about something similar in you that is unhealed.
Yep.
And it sometimes it's very painful to like get to the bottom of that, but it's worth getting to the bottom of.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
In particular, just recently I went and I did, and I highly recommend this channel. And this man, Jerry Sargent, he has a channel called Star Magic Healing. He's absolutely legit, and he does various healing things all over, personal healings and different stuff. And he's not healing anything. He's just helping you connect to the grid the same way somebody does when they're meditating and working with plant medicine or whatever else. You know, he's just a facilitator for the universe to help kind of get your energy system, because the real important part of you is the invisible side. That's all energy and magnets and magnetism that's bringing you towards your true loves and your true friends and your right jobs and all that other shit. You know, those are the parts that need to be worked on. So there are people that are actually helping you to get yourself into a state of consciousness where you can work on some of those things and they can help you kind of get through it. Anyway, I went to do a 2-day healing thing with them. And I won't get into too much of my entire experience, but the second day I had I was feeling very good in like my chest and in my body. Like I was getting I have a lot of physical effects that I've had from some of the energetic experiences and things I was going through or whatever. And I was feeling very relieved in my heart and like just lighter. It was great. But I definitely was feeling still very dense in my legs. And each day on the 2 days, there was like 3 different sessions where basically you do these kind of crazy breathing type exercises. And then for the breathing exercises, they kind of will take you to the floor and they'll lay you down and, you know, and kind of play in your energy field, doing some of the things that they know to sort of help activate and stimulate some of these states of consciousness and things to help you get through various things. So on the third, I guess it was the third time, I realized that, you know, in my root chakra, essentially, root chakra or sacral chakra, maybe both, was shame. And I knew that I had a lot of shame that I had like built up from a relationship, you know, like my ex-wife wasn't as sexually available as I was. And it ended up, you know, it's not her fault, but it made me feel over time like I was gross, or like, you know, I was too much, and like I was taking too much, and it really put like a negative, shameful sort of spin on my sexuality, which had been very positive, you know, like, yay, love. And then like all of a sudden I was thinking about it in like these ways of like, you know, I was ashamed of my love. I didn't want to have so much love to give. I didn't want to have energy for that because it made me feel ashamed of myself. And then there was a lot of things. I realized across the board, all these shame things, I had skipped over looking at them or addressing them in any way because I was too ashamed to do so. And I had went straight to trying to love myself unconditionally, trying to love myself like I love my kids. But I was doing it on top of this like huge pile of things that I was ashamed of myself about. And because I had never like addressed it at all. Like, and I realized going back as far to something, like I thought I had done all the work that I should do to heal my body from getting hit by a car when I was a little kid. Except that I still hadn't gotten over the shame because I hadn't even thought about the shame. the first thing that I thought when I got hit by the car was my mom's going to be so mad at me.
Right.
Where does an idea like that come from? I didn't
Right.
even realize where an idea like that fully comes from until the past like few days, as I finally, because this was just, I did the Star Magic Healing thing just like 3 days ago. So this was really
Right.
a nice experience that just happened. And as I started to look at that, I'm sorry, forgive me. Where was I? I was saying
You were still feeling the shame. You hadn't looked at the shame.
the shame of getting hit by the car.
Yeah.
So I realized it came from feeling stupid. And I realized being made to feel stupid when I had gotten something wrong, that I had been foolish, I had been stupid.
Right.
That
And
was
it was an accident, right?
Yeah, of me getting hit by the car. I didn't look both ways before I crossed the street. I had done something dunderheaded. And that dunderheaded energy that my mom's giving me, she's trying to protect me from getting hit by a car, protect me from all these things. But ultimately for me, taking it all the practical energy, it's like, I'm a freaking nincompoop. I'm a fool. I did the thing that mom warned me not to do. I was given the information on how to avoid this situation, but here I am. I blundered right into it. So like straight up for my getting hit by a car thing, I had shame that I hadn't processed. I thought I dealt with that a long time ago, but I literally was so ashamed. And the feeling of shame is, you don't want to look at these things. So, and actually, the one with my ex-wife was a little bit easier, like as an example, but like I had addressed that one in a lot of ways because I was aware specifically of that shame, but I wasn't exactly aware of the shame about the getting hit by the car and feeling stupid, feeling like I was an idiot, or shame about feeling like I wasn't strong enough to follow my heart and to do the thing that I wanted to do. Somebody broke my heart and made me change my mind about what I was going to do, and now I'm not being myself and following my heart anymore because somebody broke my heart. I let somebody break my heart, and how ashamed I was that I was so weak that I could let somebody hurt me so deep, right? And so literally, it was funny. I basically, it felt like, that scene in The Matrix where the guns racks come in. Like in that white room and like all the gun racks come in. So I was in a white room, but no gun racks, just a room full of boxes that were like flipped over, covering shame. And I'm like running through the room, kicking boxes over, like this shame and that shame. And
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because like as soon as I could find like the through line of like, oh, so I'm ashamed of being stupid. I'm like, all right, well, let me think about all the other ways in which I might not like to be stupid. Like, oh, I never want to get anything wrong because then I might be stupid. I never, I don't like to be around people who I feel like are at risk of being stupid because that makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't want to risk being stupid. All these like sensitivities, like, oh, I'm ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of that. So like, I'm kicking open all the boxes as I finally realize what the through line is of this shame. And as I'm doing this, my legs are feeling amazing, and straight up, I felt like there was like a vortex around my right knee and around my right ankle. My right ankle, I very badly sprained, having to jump over the front row off of the stage at the Whiskey a Go-Go during the first song of a live set one night. And when I got back on the stage, I sprained my ankle so badly, and I performed for 45 minutes after that. And my leg was so bruised up. It was such an injury. And it's been, a little bothersome ever since. But this experience was, literally, I felt like it was being just like washed away. And then there was another one where I was doing backflips on stage at another concert. I landed on my knee twice and I damaged my PCL. It was like hanging on by like a thread of like a ligament or whatever. Very difficult to just injure your PCL. And when I was having this experience going through all this stuff and like getting out all this shame, all of a sudden I felt my knee and my ankle just start to like strengthen. And it was really amazing. But the reason why I really want to bring it up is just because I'm sure everybody out there, like we all got shame. And the thing that you got to realize when you're working on your shame is that you're probably going to be too ashamed to figure out like really what it is. Source. You're going to know you're ashamed. But like actually like going like, well, that's the thing, like because you're just kind of scared to look at those things. Like, they do things that do really bother you and do set you off like that. They become like a third rail in your consciousness where you don't want to go near. Like that hurts.
Right. It's interesting. I love like philosophy. I'm a big fan of philosophy and how it all ties into what you're talking about. The philosophy of in this case, the philosophy of just certain events happening and feelings that you felt as a young child affecting you your whole life through, and then being as an adult being able to realize, oh, this is what I need to think about, and then kind of clicking into place, like it makes sense now, right?
Yeah, you know, and I mean, I guess I'm going to tell you guys a couple more, you know, major takeaways from this spiritual experience, because I do think there are some more universal, you know, because some of it's a little personal, you know, for me, but I realized that I could basically talk about all of it without having to really, you know, get into anything too specific and
Without being ashamed.
yeah. Well, no, not really like things I'd be ashamed, but more like personal you know,
Right.
you know, and things like, you know, things like that are like, you know, my friends and my family and like relationships that are important, whatever. But you know, the first experience, well, on the second day, my first session of breathing, everything lined up. And part of it lined up because of a very major thing. I'll talk about this real quick. Let's go back a couple steps on the spiritual journey, okay? Everybody, if there's anybody out there who's having difficulty with a change, you know, they got a certain change that they want to make, and like they focused on it, and like they can't get it to change. I was dating a girl a while back named Meg Amato. Shout out to Meg. What up? Meg's super spiritual, cool, and Meg knows that I'm very spiritual, and I, you know, go meditate and I'll commune with, you know, higher guidance, and I come back with like songs and inspiration, and I really get interesting information and things that'll make you go, hmm. So one day she goes, I can't lose any weight. It's driving me nuts. Like, can you ask your guides why? So I go and I meditate. I come back like 45 minutes later, and I say, my guides say that you can't lose the weight because you won't accept that you gain the weight. And if you would just accept it, that just accept yourself as you are right now, no big deal. I've gotten a little fat. It is what it is. That you'll lose the weight straight away. And she goes, I'm not going to fucking accept this. And I just went, and I think that's why you can't lose the weight. And she was just like, you know, like, and I get it when you can't accept it. And acceptance is such a major thing. I'm somebody who would never in a million years commit suicide. I've always, as a younger man, looked down at people who were suicidal or would commit suicide. And then one day got to a point of such depression where I completely empathized and understood with people who had suicidal feelings. And though I would not ever end my life, wanted to very badly. Really just like that, the idea of not being here on earth and just being on the other side back to the infinity, and not here dealing with people and dealing with these situations, dealing with being misunderstood, misunderstandings and miscommunications. I just like, I can't take it. My heart can't take it. I love people. I hate being here, like so much of the time, like, you know, just because it tends to be just people getting upset and getting into conflicts, and like, it's just like, it drives me crazy. I just want to make the world a better place and have great interactions with people and make people laugh and make people smile and, you know, just have a good time. And so much of the time it's not that, you know. And then when you feel like you're in my case, and this is always a difficult thing for me to talk about, because on some level it sounds like I am suggesting that I am in some fashion superior in some way, and please do not take this for what I mean at all. But I have an energy that is larger than most people. You probably in your life know some people who have just access to more energy than the other people do. And some of the people who have access to less energy, they're really aggravated by those people with the more energy.
Yeah, totally.
In general, my whole life, I'm very sensitive to energy. And I could tell my whole life how my big energy often affects other people. And while there's like, I'm going to say maybe there's like 40% who like love me for my energy and are all about it. Yes. It's like 60% who are like, this is a bit much. Like, It's more.
Hey, listen, I'm your best friend, one of your best friends, and sometimes I'm like, Jesse, I'll be
Yeah.
right back.
Yeah.
I'll be right
Yeah.
back.
It's more than most of them. And amongst that 40% who will like love you so much because of it, half of those 40% will become your enemies or people who are terribly jealous of you in some fashion for the energy, because when you have more energy, you tend to be able to do a little bit more. You know, people go, how do you make so much stuff, Jess? Well, I got a lot of energy. So I finish one thing and I do another thing. I didn't go to sleep last night. I haven't, Michael, you know, I didn't sleep all night last night. And I just worked through because I couldn't fall asleep, but I was in good mood and everything. So I just went on with my day, and I figured, well, I'll get an even better night's sleep tomorrow. And I mean, like, it's typical for me, but to somebody else, it might seem like insane. So it's like, it's not a compliment ultimately. For me, the big thing spiritually has been, this is the thing, the source of my suicidalness. I don't want to live in a world where I am automatically making a lot of people kind of uncomfortable and bothering people. I want to make people happy. I want people to be glad I was here. The idea that I would bother a friend or ultimately make a friend feel jealous or something like that breaks my heart. You know, it just makes me go, no, why did I even come here to hurt that person in any way? I hate that.
Right. Well, on the other hand, Angelo, one of our longtime listeners, my brother was ready to end his life, and Jesse left him a very personal message, and he pulled through. So, you know, as much as you're struggling and wondering about your own thing, you're helping people just by being you, right? I mean, that's.
I appreciate that. Yes,
Yeah, there you go. I knew that would choke you up a little bit.
No, but it's not sad, you know, because I know that people are having this experience, and whether you're listening live now or you know somebody who's experiencing this, or you're listening in the future, you know, and you're hearing me say this stuff, like, I know I'm not the only one. And the big thing about the reason why I told you about Meg and that she couldn't accept the thing, and that's a thing, that's a really major spiritual lesson, acceptance, and then you clear the path. And I realized I hadn't accepted that I agreed to come to Earth and live under these circumstances.
That's great. I love that.
Actively protesting it. I was sort of constantly like, why would I do this to myself? Oh my God! Like I was like, this is torture. like, you know, for me, I was away from my babies, you know, with the girl of my dreams, but away from my kids, making myself miserable because I was away from them. Then away from from the girl of my dreams, and with my babies, making myself miserable that I was away from the girl of my dreams. You know, like it was literally just this like.
And those are the choices, right? You got to make yourself miserable somehow, right?
I could not accept the parameters that I had been given. I was like, do not want, do not like, should not be like this. Don't want to be fat. You know, like, you know, I couldn't accept it. Right. So that morning when I was walking to Star Magic Healing for the second day of thing, it occurred to me what I was doing, that I was legit standing in defiance of accepting, literally being on Earth and having interactions with people and being a part of the human machine in whatever way I'm supposed to be. Like, I couldn't accept that. And I had this intuitive sort of vision or guidance of like how to fix it, how to address it. So, and this is something that you guys can all do. I visualized myself in heaven, you know, on the other side of things. And I ran through approximately the constraints that I felt that I was under, you know, some version of like, you know, I recognize that, you know, no, more like, now when you go down there, Jesse, your energy is going to be much bigger comparatively than the people around you. This is going to make some people really like you, but it's going to make a lot of people really challenged by you in a lot of ways. And you're going to be a very empathetic being, and you're going to experience this with them. You're going to feel their suffering and displeasure over their experience with you through completely innocent action on your part. And this is just something you have to understand. Your being there is always helping everybody around you as long as you're behaving authentically. Every soul on planet Earth, as long as we're behaving authentically, we are like behaving divinely. It's when we behave inauthentically that we fuck up the system. But as long as we're behaving authentically, like that, it's really key that it's okay. So accepting this thing, right? So they say all these different things, and they go, "Do you accept?" And I literally, because as I'm like saying these things or thinking these things, I'm not sure if I was mumbling to myself as I was walking, but I'm like going through this thing. It really meant a lot to me, all the things that I was saying, and I had a lot of built up emotion behind it at the time.
Yep.
Now it's just a story I'm telling you. But at the time I had a lot of emotion built up. So I was like, my tears were welling up in my eyes as I was explaining this story of what my life was going to be, the story of my life that made me want to kill myself, that made me feel sympathetic to those people. That's like a crazy thing. And they go, "Do you accept?" And I start crying, and I cried for like I don't know, 15 seconds or something like that. And I went, just like okay. I was like, I accept.
Yeah.
I accept. And as soon as I said I accept, oh my God, it was just like the first lock unlocked on me. And like, it really just like opened me up.
Beautiful.
To things. And now when I went inside and that's like, there was two additional things that I kind of wanted to impart to you. The first one is that acceptance, figuring out how to do acceptance. If you are having those kind of like suicidal thoughts where like, you just don't like how it feels to be authentically you in the world. That's the thing. I have not enjoyed being my most authentic self and living on Earth. The more I'm my most authentic self, the more I feel attacked and the more hurt I seem to get. And it's sort of like made me pull myself in and like be much smaller than I am by nature for a long time, because it hurts so bad when I would be myself. And I constantly found like I would sort of be being myself, and I'd be like innocently like really stubbing my toe and breaking my nose and like, what the hell? Like I'm like walking into invisible walls everywhere. I don't understand what's wrong. And the innocence got kicked out of me really quickly from that experience of feeling like every time I was authentically me, it was not going well.
Right.
So where does this lead? So this leads. So the main lesson there is, fucking accept, and see if you can figure out a visualization or a way to walk you through accepting some of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So additionally, I had childhood asthma. I won't get into too much detail here, but Jerry Sargent, he came to me after the first breathing session and energy work thing that they had done to me, and I had some major ones. They were casting out some entities from me, and I realized that that the entities came along with many, many important people in my life who were pulling me in all different directions. And I'll tell you how I sort of came to understand this, because it's sort of like compounded by like the energy that they have is there, and then there are other beings that will come and feed on that energy that they already have that's there. So there was like a sort of like an exorcism of like all of these other people's energies from me at a certain point in time. So first I talked to Jerry, and he told me basically a specific person who essentially caused my asthma. And then when I went to go talk to the other person, I asked them what they saw, and what they saw was a little bit more open ended, a little bit more. I don't know what the right word is, but she said it looked like I was being pulled in 8 different directions, that I was living in 8 different dimensions with 8 different people's consciousnesses weighing over me, where I had kowtowed to their will. And it's not that I'm such like a weak-willed person. I mean, you guys see me, I'm freaking bold and I do all sorts of freaking crazy stuff. But when I love people, I give myself over to them in ways. Or at least I did. Not anymore.
Mhm.
Not anymore. Because you're no good to yourself if you become like this folding jelly that's giving yourself over to everything all the time.
Yeah.
And the best use that you are spiritually, and it's for everybody. It's not just like the message for Jesse is you got to be a unique snowflake, Jesse. Michael, you got to be a unique snowflake. Drew's got to be a unique snowflake. Mackenzie, you got to be a unique snowflake. Angela, like it's us being our most unique forms of ourselves.
Yeah.
That is what like oils the machine of the earth. It's what grows everybody around us because we're like this microcosm of an environment, symbiotic relationships kind of thing. The right words are escaping me, but we're all reliant on each other like cogs in a clock, making the clock tell the time. And if like you're a cog that isn't being your authentic self, you have less teeth than you should. You're like a cog with no teeth.
Right.
If you spin in the clock, like during my depression times, I don't talk to any friends. I don't do anything. Like I don't interact with the world. So what happens? Well, the clock stops telling the right time because I'm not in it anymore. And my cog just goes around and round and round and round and round. And then when I finally start to get brave enough, I put out an arm and then all of a sudden I'm interacting again with the fullness of the clock. But that's it. And it's the more teeth that we have out of our authentic nature and who we are that helps spin the other cogs. Because maybe the other cog needs to be intimidated by you and how bold you are. Maybe the other cog needs to come up against a personality that's bigger and stronger so that it can inspire it to be bigger and stronger.
There you go.
There's so many different ways in which it's useful and can be useful. And you just have to remember that there's always sort of like a good explanation. There's always like a good way that you could be looking at it potentially that if you can really lovingly look at it from that vantage point, it's true and it's okay.
Well, I think you just gave a great perspective, about the importance of every cog in the machine. You know what I mean? Each cog helps the other cog spin, and we all work together. And there's the universe right there. It's just just a great analogy. I want to just back up a couple of minutes before we sign off and say goodbye. Hat Pauser said what you were talking earlier about the suicide, and she made a great statement. She said, "Seconds after suicide," which is a great band name. You suddenly realize, oh, yeah. Now I see. Which is great. So thank you, Hat, for that. And Angela was saying that it reminds her when they told her she wasn't going to be walking at 35, and now she's 45 and still going. To which I know you guys had gone through this conversation, but I find it amusing. Hat Pauser said, "Doctors are fuckwits." So that's a great sentiment there.
Well, it's not that they're fuckwits. Well, they are, because it's unfortunately they're told that they're going to be smarter and that they're going to be righter than everybody in society.
Right.
And many years ago now, the medical industry was bought up lock, stock, and barrel. The colleges, the people who make the textbooks, the people who produce the pharmaceuticals, the people who produce the machines that everybody is hooked to, and the teachers and the colleges, it's all owned by the same families, the same groups who control the entire industry as a monopoly and dictate what these doctors learn. And most of them aren't even taught any basic nutrition. It's shameful. And like once you learn Eastern medicine and you see how American medicine and American ideas have literally just been looking down at them for no reason, and there's plenty to learn from Eastern medicine and Eastern spirituality, and like there's so much knowledge and wisdom over there. Like it's fucking insane. The moment you open up that door, we're idiots. Like, stop it. Stop being such dummies. Like, I mean, we really just are like so close-minded to ancient knowledge that is all around.
It's true. It's true. Listen, and that's one of the reasons I do this show is we talk about all sorts of stuff like ancient knowledge coming back about what it is inside of us as human beings that make us powerful, that has been kind of hidden from us. So that's what this show is all about. So I can't believe it's already almost 10:30. Jesse, you are such an energetic ball of light.
See, it's useful sometimes. It's just like
no, absolutely. Oh, you're always useful. I love being around you. I love having you here. I'm so glad that you were here to take the place of my guest who couldn't make it tonight. So thank you.
That
And
that
then,
the things that I said resonate with the people out there. I mean, just to really
oh yeah, absolutely.
that last final point. Like that thing of I know I'm not the only one out there who's letting other people drive their car. And what it said to me. I was all by myself in Washington D.C. at this Star Magic Healing thing, and this lady saw me in 8 different places, and I imagined all the different places where I might be with my ex-wife, with my kids, with my parents, with my siblings, with my girlfriend. Just there was so many sort of like, am I with my friend who I made plans with in Sedona to win a Grammy? Because my friend Michael Latanzi, he's currently quadriplegic. He could make a turnaround, but he's been a little slow and sort of getting motivated to do it. And I had a dream of he and I walking to get an award together, like him walking with me, and I like a really
That's awesome.
come true. And I saw that like sort of like as different like places where like sort of like my like because my honor and my loyalty and all these things, but it makes me give myself away. And in doing so, I diminish myself, and I can carry on all of the honor and all of the things with me, and deliver those things when I'm there, without leaving myself all over the place and leaving other people in control of my system. And you don't have to do that either. You don't have to leave other people in control of your guts and in control of your dreams and in control of everything that you do. The last thing I'll tell you is, right the night before I had that realization of like, I had to accept my role in things, I decided I'm going to try to be a comedian, that I want to be a stand-up comedian. I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian since I was a little kid.
Ooh.
Start going to open mic nights, and like I've always wanted to do that. I started editing my comedy last night. I have stand-up that I've been writing for years, just like jokes and stuff. And yesterday,
Did you just announce to the world for the first time here live, like on my show, or?
I did. And so
awesome.
now I have to do it. But I literally like my comedy routines into like, oh, shit about driving, shit about relationships, shit about parenting, shit about animals, and because I have tons of great material, and just like starting to think about how to get it out. And I've been studying comedy my entire life. It's always what I wanted to do. I got scared away from it.
You know what? You've always been a storyteller, and I think it's another way of storytelling, right? It's just
one more layer of all the things I mean, I know too that like it's not like I'm stopping any of the things that I do, and
right.
I know that trying to learn how to do comedy well is just going to make me that much better at everything else I do. I mean, I'm really good on stage. People who have come out to see me live on stage, they'll tell you I'm pretty funny, and it's not necessarily because I'm like telling the funniest jokes in the world, but I'm just I know how to talk to a crowd, have a good time. And that's my favorite thing. My favorite thing is to be with a group and make them all feel good, because that's when I relax. Like I relax when the group feels good. So
right. Oh, that's real. You know what? That's an interesting way to look at it. It's true. Yeah.
And to be able to like relax a crowd, because like I know that that's going to be euphoric for me every time I can succeed at making a lot of other people relax, because I get so much out of that. Like, I mean, honestly, I see movies and I eat dinner because I like to share in things with the people I love. When I don't have somebody to share in dinner, I'll just fast, and then I'll eat when I have somebody to share a meal with, because it doesn't mean as much to me. I don't want to go see a movie by myself. I'd rather go see something with somebody.
Yeah. You know what? I definitely see that about you. Wow, Jesse, I am. You can't even know. I'm so excited that you said what you did, and that now everybody has to look forward to seeing you come out and do some stand-up. And not only that, I was going to say in 5 years when you're famous, you could say here first, but then I was going to say no in 4 years, and then I was going to say no in 3 years, and then 2, and then 1. So very soon, man, you are going to see Jesse Blaze out there with a successful comedy act, and he's going to make your ass laugh for sure. I could guarantee that Jesse's going to make you guys laugh. Wow. So good, man. Jesse, thank you so much for being here, man. This was good to catch up with you. And I appreciate you stepping in at the last minute.
Yeah, great catching up with you.
I feel like we've only scratched the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I guess
honestly, I feel like I got so much from my spiritual weekend, and actually like coming on the show and be able to talk about those 3 things. I really do feel like they're so they were just so infinitely useful, helpful to me. And even the pretending, that we talked about before too, just, that's been really a focus for me. And I feel it changing my life, because it's changing the way I'm thinking.
Yes.
And by allowing myself to pretend innocently, I'm finding myself gratefully, gleefully imagining things that really genuinely make me happy and genuinely make me feel better. And it's changing. It's flicking switches in my mind. And I've honestly, I've been on a really positive, like the best journey. Every spiritual person tends to have to go through what's called the dark night of the soul. And I've been going through the dark night of the soul for a bunch of years now. But I just basically crossed out of this dark night of the soul period into a new period like a month ago.
Right.
It was really kind of crazy. And
the dark decade of the soul.
Yeah, to see me in like 3 different like stages of this, of like, where I was, all of a sudden I had a shift, and I was like, Michael, I feel like really different and kind of better. And like, do you see a change? And he was like, yeah. And then I had even another, major change as I went through this, spiritual process with Star Magic Healing, and came around. Like, so for me, it's just been sort of a click, 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 ring, it's like,
yeah.
So I'm like, I really feel my energy taking off in a great way, where I'm, loving and honoring myself. And, it is what it is. I have only good intentions for people, and if they can't see that, or, they're going to let, my energy or whatever it is bother them, I just, I can't be in control of that anymore. I have to just make peace with it. And, love life. I love life. It's so wonderful when you're reading comics and playing with toys and playing games and cards and board games and puzzles and playing with friends and hanging out and going to concerts and making music and making art and drawing pictures and sculpting, and like there's so many fun fucking things to do in this world. Dancing, and and I want to learn to cook better, and I want to learn to dance. I want to learn to play every instrument. Like, this is like when you can look at it as like a freaking playground, it's wonderful. And so often we just sort of forget. And like the biggest thing though is when the energy's not there. The energy's not there to do it. So finally, I'm just so grateful that I feel so much return of my energy and my ability to do more for my friends and be more courteous and be more giving of my time and my energy, and because I have more to give. So I'm so grateful and so happy, and I'm just really glad that I could pass any of that information on to your audience. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, man. Really, again, thank you. And Angela said you ate the mushroom and leveled up. You Super Mario'd it, and it is really good to see. And I will totally vouch, when you walked back into the door after being away for a couple of weeks, you were definitely a different person. There was a different vibe altogether. It's great to have you back and see this and be a part of it. And I can't wait to work on some of the things that we're going to work on together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. Me and Michael are working on some really fun stuff. So they'll tell you about it when it gets closer, when it gets a little more real.
Cool. All right. So I'm not going to put you in the green room. I'm going to sign off with you here. But next week, I have another Jessie coming on my show. I have Jessie Howell. So Hat Powser, who is here because she saw me on the Jessie Howell show. I'm having Jessie Howell on my show. Jessie Howell has a great show called The Missing Link. He talks to all sorts of people from conspiracy theorists to just people who have really great perspectives on life. And I'm excited for him. And Ninja Kitty, as always, another show. Great. Thank you for being here, Ninja. And Debbie. Yep, Jesse will make it. Jesse has already made it. He just doesn't know. That's the thing. I'm going to make it by making the audience feel sorry for me, by letting them know that I'm absolutely terrified to do it, but I want to do it because I love them. I'm going to find a way to deliver a performance that is so earnest that they can't hate me, and we can all just laugh together, because life is too fucking funny to be so fucking uptight. And like, I'm not judging you, so don't judge me. I just want to have a good time. Awesome. And with that, I'm going to go out with the first VO that you did for me, and I will see you guys next week.
I'm sounding Don Pardoing it.
What is consciousness? The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question that has captivated human minds for centuries. Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.